Did you know that London courts once tried a man for shooting the Grey Lady ghost? The spirit fell, actually a bricklayer in work whites. To this day, locals whisper that this ghost still haunts the churchyard when the fog rolls in. Tonight, on Secret Spells and Shadows, we dive into the strange case of the Grey Lady of Hammersmith. Fear of a phantom sparked a real-world killing and changed English law forever. I'm Victoria Unikel, artist and media mogul by day, and modern witch exorcista by night. Every Thursday, we uncover a true tale proving the world is stranger than fiction. If you are ready, hit like and subscribe, and let's begin. Let's step into foggy Hammersmith of 1804, where a shot meant to scare a spectre instead killed an innocent man. It started in December 1803. Hammersmith was a town of muddy lanes and lamp-lit bars. People walking by the churchyard began reporting a tall white form that glided near the graves. Some said its eyes glowed and horns stuck from its hood. Two women, one old, one pregnant, fainted after a close look and died days later of fright. A servant, Thomas Groom, swore icy hands clutched his throat near the tombstone. Word spread. The ghost was a suicide who'd been buried on holy ground. His soul could not rest. Night watchman William Girdler tried to chase the shape on December 29th, but it slipped away, dropping a white shroud. London had no police force yet, so frightened locals formed armed patrols. Among them stood Francis Smith, 29, an excise officer who took a borrowed shotgun and vowed to bring down the phantom, dead or alive. January 3rd, 1804. Fog crawled up Black Lion Lane. Girdler met Smith at 10:30 p.m. Smith said he would hunt alone until the watchman finished calling the hour. They parted. Just after 11, Thomas Millwood, a bricklayer, left his parents' house. He wore his trade clothes: white linen pants, a clean white flannel waistcoat, and a fresh apron. Twice before, strangers had mistaken him for the ghost. His family begged him to wear a coat. He laughed them off. Millwood turned into Black Lion Lane. Smith stepped from the shadows, gun leveled. "Who are you? Speak, or I fire." Before Millwood could answer, Smith pulled the trigger and the shot went through Millwood's jaw and spine. The bricklayer fell without a sound. Smith ran to the body with horror in his eyes. Girdler arrived moments later. Millwood was already dead. Smith was taken into custody. He kept repeating, "I thought it was the ghost. I thought it was the ghost." Newspaper headlines screamed, "Horrid murder by apparition." Old Bailey benches were packed by dawn on January 13, 1804. Spectators stared at the thin man in a borrowed coat, Francis Smith, the so-called ghost shooter. He sat rigid, hands locked, eyes fixed on nothing. The accusation rang out: "Willful murder of Thomas Millwood, bricklayer." Witness after witness spoke about the weeks before the shot. They told the jury of a phantom in white gliding near the churchyard. Women fainted and watchmen armed themselves with pistols and old muskets. Every word fanned the fear that filled Black Lion Lane with guns. The court called Anne Millwood, the victim's sister. She walked stiffly to the stand, black ribbon tied at her throat. She said that she had opened the door that night and heard Smith yell, "Damn you, I'll shoot!" A blast followed, too fast for any answer. Her brother Thomas staggered once and fell. Blood steamed on the cobbles. When she finished, a woman in the balcony burst into tears. Smith stood next. He didn't deny the cry or the trigger. "I believed a spirit stood before me," he said quietly. "I thought no bullet could truly harm it, only send it away." Whispers began. The clerk banged his rod for silence. Judge Lord Chief Baron MacDonald rose, his wig bright under the lamps. He told the 12 men that English law fixed intent to deed. To kill a man while meaning to kill anything was still murder. No spectral fancy can lift the weight of a mortal act, he warned. Faces went white in the benches. The jury filed out. 60 minutes ticked on the great clock. They returned with manslaughter. People were relieved until MacDonald shook his head. "Not acceptable!" He sent them back. Less than 10 minutes later, they came back, pale. The foreman said, "Guilty of murder." Sentence struck like a hammer, hanging and dissection. Smith fainted and fell to the floor. Court officers fanned him until his eyes fluttered open. 3 days later, Whitehall granted mercy. The death warrant became 1 year's hard labor in Newgate, a note of pity for a man acting under delusion. But the principle remained: shoot at a ghost, answer for the body. Instead of calming, London was on edge. Shoemaker John Graham admitted he had worn a white sheet to frighten his apprentice and likely sparked the very first sightings. The confession made the papers but didn't stop the rumors. Songs were sung about Smith the Spectre Slayer. Mothers still dragged their children across the road to avoid the graveyard wall at dusk. And when the river folk crept up Black Lion Lane, travelers swore they saw her, a grey lady moving slow between the mossy stones. No horse, no sheep, only a face, washed blank with sorrow. The Hammersmith case did more than haunt London. It left an echo in the courts. Spring Hill Jack Panic, 1838. Ghost hunters roamed London with pistols and once fired at a leaping devil. They hit only brick, but fear ran deep. R. versus Williams, Gladstone, 1984. The Court of Appeal ruled that a mistake can sometimes justify force in self-defense, reopening the Hammersmith case. Beckford versus the Queen, 1988. The Privy Council adopted the same test, writing it into modern UK law. A legend, a gun, a dead man. Then 2 centuries of legal ripples. History's real terror is not the ghost, it's how fear can turn to deadly action. Next time folk feels an empty road and something white moves, will you shoot? Or step closer to be sure? Tell me in the comments. Hit subscribe and meet me next Thursday here on Secret Spells and Shadows. Until then, stay safe, stay sharp, and never mistake a shadow for a trap.